What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim at Full Grip Games. Thank you all so much for joining us for our league tournament this evening. We've got an exciting event ahead. There are 16 Masters players here for the tournament tonight. They are going to be playing using the new post-rotation format. It's going to go into effect for our World Championships this year. That means that they are going to be playing with Unified Minds cards. Some players will have their hands on their Unified Minds cards already. Some players will be using proxied versions of the cards, which we are allowing here at our league, so that you all can get a sneak preview of the upcoming Worlds format, as well as the post-rotation format for the first quarter here of the 2020 competitive season. We've also got players that are testing their skills for the World Championships coming up in August in DC. So very exciting event. Thank you all so much for being here. Unified Minds going live on PTCGO tomorrow. So I'm really stoked about that. We're going to be doing a marathon stream tomorrow, streaming all day Unified Minds on PTCGO. It's going to be super lit. Really stoked about it. And I've got 300 codes locked into my account now, ready to crack. I think the set goes live at like 1 p.m. or something, so we're going to start streaming a little bit before that. And then I've got some really awesome features that we're going to be having. I think Riley agreed to stream with me in the afternoon. Danny Altavilla agreed to stream with me during the day. So we've got a lot of exciting action ahead. It's going to be awesome. Make sure, if you haven't already, check out fullgripgames.com, where we do have PTCGO codes. We only got a limited supply left. All the the quantities that we have on fullgripgames.com now, that's all we have. If you want your codes before tomorrow, you need to order them now so that I can email them to you before I leave work or when I wake up tomorrow morning, okay? Because once I start streaming, then it's going to be up to Sean to email them to you. So if you want to crack packs with me tomorrow on PTCGO, make sure to go ahead and do that. We're going to head on over to the tournament table now, where we've got Victor Alicia versus Jesse Parker for our first round of this tournament. They are ready to go, and it looks like Jesse Parker is playing his Gardevoir and Sylveon Tag Team GX deck. Victor has got a Giratina Malamar deck, and I believe this is just a Psychic Giratina Malamar. Going to be utilizing Giratina from Lost Thunder and spell tags to really ramp up damage on the opponent's side of the field. Victor's got an Inkay there in the active position. It's going to start off with a Viridian Forest. Excellent card to get things going there. We got the nice secret rare Viridians, if anybody has seen that, out of this Unified Mind set, and incredibly sweet looking full art stadium. It looks like he does actually have some GX Pokemon in the deck. We've got a Dawnwings on the bench, but he's got no supporter. That is not what you want to see turn one from a Malamar deck. We see he does have Spell Tag, maybe a Malamar in his hand, but just a Dawnwings on the bench. Things could start to get a little hectic here for Victor if Jesse is able to have a stronger setup. And we see Jesse immediately going to discard that reset stamp. He's not going to be using that. He can see that his opponent has a dead hand. Now, Gardevoir and Sylveon Tag Team GX does get a little bit of a bump because of the lack of Field Blower in post-rotation format. Field Blower from, I believe it's Guardians Rising, does rotate out next year, meaning that players have very limited options for removing tool cards from the opponent. Gardevoir and Sylveon with 260 hit points has some fantastic options to be able to wall off opponents with Fairy Lightning Charms, Fairy Ultra Beast Charms. We'll have to see if Jesse does play an Ultra Beast Charm and is going to be able to get that into play. Despite the poor start, Victor is actually able to launch a turn 2 attack with this Dawnwings. And we see him reading over the Gardevoir and Sylveon there. Victor was an active player probably about a year or so ago, so some of these tag team Pokemon are going to be newer to Victor, but an experienced local player nonetheless, excited to get started for the 2020 season. Looks like Jesse does have a power plant in his hand and some healing cards. I'm not sure what else he's got going on there. I see maybe a Greens Exploration. That would be fantastic. It looks like that's what he's going to play. Greens Exploration, since he doesn't have any Pokemon with abilities in his hand, he can, or in play rather, he can just search his deck for 2 trainer cards. We see him searching out that Dust Stone as well as the Tag Switch. Interesting. He's got these energies on the Misdreavus on the bench. I'm not exactly sure why the energy are on the Misdreavus. He can't tag switch those energies off the Misdreavus. He would only be able to tag switch off of a tag team Pokemon GX. So I'm curious about why he has those energies on the Mismagius now. But we'll just have to see. Victor sitting pretty easy, honestly, with his Malamar in the active, knowing that Dawnwings does only deal 150 damage unless it uses its GX attack, which can deal 200 damage for just 3 energy. Very powerful. Magical Miracle GX could take a knockout if Jesse had a way to perform that attack, but I'm not sure that he does. It looks like he's about to send that energy away, and I have to think, yeah, search your deck for up to 2 Fairy Energies attached to your bench Pokemon. So Fairy Song does have to accelerate to a benched Pokemon. I'm just curious as to why Jesse would have chosen to accelerate to his Mismagius, kind of knowing that that energy was going to end up getting discarded. Looks like it's Victor's turn now, and Jesse unable to perform an attack. Victor does have to be concerned that the GX attack could be coming in here shortly. Victor is not able to use his own Dawnwings' GX attack because he is technically ahead in prizes. He finds a Jirachi, though, and has a switch in hand, so he's going to be able to Stellar Wish here to see if he can get this game moving. I see a Lily in that Stellar Wish hand, though, so he will be able to draw some cards. He's also got a Cynthia, so a great turn of events for Victor. He's just going to play the Cynthia, shuffle his hand into his deck, and draw 6 cards. If Victor can find himself a counter stadium, he's going to be able to use Dawnwings' invasion ability to move back to the active position, irregardless of whether or not Jirachi has an escape board or anything like that. So I do like that synergy there. It's very cool stuff. He does find an escape board, so he does have the option to retreat this Jirachi into whoever he pleases, but I don't think I see a stadium in that hand. Shouldn't matter, though. Since he does have the escape board, he will be performing a Dark Flash attack this turn. I think I see a Mysterious Treasure in that hand. He could discard something in order to get another Inkay into play, which he will desperately need. We see him trading away the Mew from Unbroken Bonds. He's not really going to be needing that in this matchup, and I think that now that Victor has this Jirachi in play, he's got some protection from the Gardevoir and Sylveon's Magical Miracle GX as well, which aims to shuffle Victor's entire hand into the deck, leaving him with a 0-card hand. It's a primary strategy that we see with these Gardevoir and Sylveon decks. The Jirachi is definitely some insurance against that strategy, which will surely pay off for Victor as this game kind of wanes on. we see Victor considering, I think, a mysterious treasure here. He's looking, or a Pokemon communication. Okay. He's going to shuffle a Malamar back into his hand, and I think he's just trying to get himself either a Giratina or another Inkay to fully establish his setup. It looks like he's just looking for another Jirachi, which I think is fair as well. With 2 Jirachis in play, Victor is going to have no problem drawing through his deck and making sure that he doesn't miss a beat as far as consistency goes. So you love to see that. He's actually just going to retreat into his other Jirachi. A bold strategy, considering he doesn't actually have the stadium yet, but we found a shrine, which means that he's going to be able to invasion with his Dawn Wings. So the extra retreat there really paying off for Victor, who's going to start to be able to tick away at that Gardevoir and Sylveon with the Shrine of Punishment. We see Invasion bringing his Dawn Wings back into the active, and then we're going to see a Dark Flash for 120 more damage, putting the Gardevoir and Sylveon at 250 after the Shrine. Just 10 hit points remaining. Important to note that Victor's Dawn Wings also sustains 10 damage from the Shrine of Punishment, being a Pokemon GX itself. We're going to see if Jesse has a way to save this Gardevoir and Sylveon. It's got 250 damage on it. If Jesse doesn't substantially heal this card this next turn, it is going to go down. Victor does have Spell Tag equipped to his Dawn Wings Necrozma, meaning that if Jesse were to take a knockout with the Magical Miracle GX, that Spell Tag damage would be able to take a knockout on the Gardevoir and Sylveon. So a tough path ahead here. I think I'd love to see a double mixed herb combo come down from Jesse. It looks like he's going to get Energy Spinner and a Cherish Ball to get a backup Gardevoir and Sylveon out of his deck and attach an energy to it. So we may just see Jesse kind of sacrifice this Gardevoir and Sylveon in the active position and use Fairy Song in order to accelerate some energy onto his benched Gardevoir and Sylveon. I think that... Oh, okay. This is interesting. Jesse's able to pull off the tag switch combo, and now he can either Kaleidostorm or Magical Miracle GX to take this knockout on the Dawn Wings. Jesse does have to consider, though, that using his GX attack will knock out that benched Gardevoir and Sylveon with the Spell Tag damage. Unless there's something that I'm missing. I think he's going to place the 1 onto his benched and then probably 3 onto the active, I would have to assume. Players are figuring out the damage now. Victor not allocating any damage to the benched Gardevoir and Sylveon. Maybe he wants to use Giratina in order to... Oh, or Mew. Wow. Looks like Victor is going straight for his Mew. He knows he can use Psy Power in order to take that knockout on the benched Gardevoir and Sylveon. So a pretty cool play there. He does have a Stellar Wish first, though, so he's going to look at the top 5 cards. He doesn't have any cards in his hand. So Lily, a fantastic find there off of the Stellar Wish. Gonna net Victor 6 cards off the top of his deck. And if Victor does not find a Giratina to attack with, we can expect him to use the Mew this turn. It looks like he actually may have all the cards together. I believe he discarded a Giratina off of that acro bike, and now we see him going in with an adventure bag, putting a spell tag and an escape board into, well, maybe we're going to walk that escape board back. Maybe 2 spell tags if he's got it. He's going to grab 2 spell tags off of the adventure bag. And then if Victor brings the Giratina out of his discard pile, that Distortion Door ability is going to take a knockout on that benched Gardevoir and Sylveon, which only has 10 hit points remaining. That's going to net Victor 3 prizes. And we see Jesse scooping up the Gardevoir and Sylveon. That card is knocked out. This Giratina has a spell tag on it. And with 2 psychic recharges, so long as Victor has a psychic in hand, which he does, we're going to see this Giratina moving to the active position to Shadow Impact this turn. This is a huge swing for Victor, who's only got 2 prize cards remaining. The pressure is on Jesse, who I believe has a pretty small hand, relatively speaking. He's used Green's Exploration the last few turns, was able to use Miss Magius's ability to draw some cards as well. The question is going to be whether or not Distortion Door is going, or Shadow Impact is going to be able to do enough damage to take down this Gardevoir and Sylveon in the long run. We see that Jesse does have 2 copies of Mixed Herbs in his hand, which means that he can heal 90 damage from this Gardevoir and Sylveon. It has 170 damage on it right now. If he were to heal 90, it would have 80 damage remaining on it, meaning that it has 180 hit points left. The only thing that I've seen in Victor's deck that can deal 180 damage is the Dawn Wings Necrozma. So, be interesting to see if Victor's deck can put forth the numbers that it needs to deal with the healing that we're bound to see here in the next couple of turns. Jesse trying to figure out his path forward here. I think he just needs as many great potions and mixed herbs as possible. It looks like he's potentially going for a Wondrous Labyrinth and a great potion to try to wipe out that damage that Victor has dealt to this Gardevoir and Sylveon and potentially keep this Malamar deck from attacking next turn. Now, I will say we've seen 2 stadiums from Victor so far. I would have to imagine that he probably plays 1 to 2 more stadiums, so his odds of being able to counter this Wondrous Labyrinth are reasonably high, I would say. And Jesse has got a backup Gardevoir Sylveon for the bench as well. And he's got the double Mixed Herbs coming down into play. He has a great potion in his hand too, but I'm not sure that Jesse actually has a draw card in this hand. So this might be more or less the end of this Green's Exploration chain that we have seen. Victor choosing to spread the 4 damage counters onto the benched Gardevoir and Sylveon, and has plenty of cards to work with in his hand, as well as Stellar Wish at his disposal to look at the top 5 cards, see if he can find anything useful there. A stadium would be great. I'm thinking that he may not be able to get 4 energy onto an attacker this turn. So countering that stadium is going to be big. It looks like he's just got a Lily that he's picking off of the Stellar Wish. The other card was a Mysterious Treasure you could use to find an attacker. And then he's got Mysterious Treasure. He's got plenty of Pokemon Search options in his hand. So choosing to grab the Lily to just net him some more draw off of the top of the deck. It looks like he's going to choose to discard a Giratina here with the Mysterious Treasure and search his deck for a Psychic Pokemon. He's considering his plays, though. Wants to make sure that he's not missing anything here on Jesse's side of the board. And I'm curious to see which kind of attackers that Victor has at his disposal in this Psychic Malamar build. There really are just a ton of... Looks like he's going to use Pokemon Communication. So maybe just failing the Mysterious Treasure, and then he's going to Pokemon Communicate the Ditto and grab something else. We see this kind of chain happening quite a bit in decks these days. He's just trying to thin his hand down as much as possible. And what's funny is even though you do trade a Pokemon into your deck with Pokemon Communication, you are allowed to fail it. So we see Victor choose to not find a Pokemon off of the Pokemon Communication, since the deck is technically private knowledge. Even though we know that there's a Pokemon in there, he doesn't have to get one. He's going to use Distortion Door on the Giratina, attach a Psychic Energy, a Spell Tag, and then Lily for 6. And just continue to place pressure on Jesse with this Giratina, using Shadow Impact for 130 turn after turn. It's going to start to wear away at this Gardevoir and Sylveon's resources for sure. Victor playing another Acro Bike, finding a Cynthia. He doesn't actually have to show it, but sometimes habits are hard to break. He's going to use double Psychic Recharge on his Malamars, charging up that bench Giratina. If Victor has a Garchomp and Giratina Tag Team GX in his deck, it would surely be game. But I think that this is a Psychic-only build of Malamar. It's just going to be promoting Giratina from Lost Thunder with the Spell Tag and using that Shadow Impact attack. From my own experiences with this deck, I've found it most difficult to keep up the numbers as the games kind of wear on. If players are able to heal their big tag team Pokemon, then Shadow Impact's 130 damage just starts to look weaker and weaker throughout the course of the game. Not really scoring any big one-hit KOs. I'm worried that Jesse is not going to find a supporter off this Pokegear, and he does not. He's used a lot of Green's explorations so far. Unable to find a supporter card there. It's going to be really tough for him. He's got to chalk up 3 more prizes without giving up one of his precious tag team Pokemon that he's got in play. I see a Great Potion in his hand, as well as I think an Erica's Hospitality. He may have an Erica's there. I can't quite tell. Erica's Hospitality is going to allow him to draw into more cards. He needs to find another option to maybe switch his Pokemon. He's got Great Potion to heal that active. Victor's just going to read that over, be like, what does that do? New cards from Unified Minds. He's got a switch. It might have been the switch that I was seeing instead of an Erica's Hospitality. It was. No, he does have an Erica's Hospitality. He uses Custom Catcher to draw a couple cards. And also has a Mysterious Treasure. The Choice Helmet not doing Jesse a lot of favors in this matchup, considering that Victor is using primarily non-GX Pokemon to deal this damage. And now with Jesse using the Wondrous Labyrinth to counter his own Power Plant, he's allowed Victor to potentially stick this Shrine of Punishment, which could be huge. Dealing 10 damage between turns, really racking up significant chunk of damage on these tag team Pokemon. I think Jesse is down at least 3 or so stadiums so far. But he does get a big Erica's Hospitality for 6. I don't believe I see a double mixed herb there. He does have a Virizion, which is, I'm sure, fine with Victor, because Malamar decks love seeing Virizion Forest, especially when they only have 2 Malamars in play. He's got double Custom Catcher, but he knows at this point that it's more or less delaying the inevitable. Takes one more prize on one of these Malamars. Now, what's difficult about this knockout for Victor is that Malamar decks don't have access to Rescue Stretcher anymore. They used to play a healthy count of Rescue Stretcher in their list, with Rescue Stretcher rotating. The only recovery card available is Brock's Grit. Brock's Grit is not really finding its way into a lot of lists right now. I believe I do see a Mimikyu in Victor's deck. He can use Mimikyu in order to copy Kaleidostorm. If he needs to deal 150 damage to clean up game at some point, he can use that Mimikyu's attack to do it. But Victor has to really hold on to hope that Jesse doesn't play too many more healing cards, because I'm not sure if Victor's list is even playing custom catchers. So he's going to have to finish these big Gardevoir Sylveons off somehow. Some lists will play Espeon and Deoxys Tag Team GX in order to take their final prizes with its snipe attack. It's got a GX attack that snipes damage, which is a possibility. I don't think that Victor has an Espeon and Deoxys tag team in his list, but that is a great option for dealing this final damage. Looks like Victor's going to start to suit up a backup Giratina here and Cynthia. Instead of getting another Malamar into play. So with no additional Malamars coming down, he is going to have to figure out how to route this game with potentially only these 2 attackers left. That being said, Jesse's only got 2 prizes left. So he can one-hit KO everything on Victor's board. It doesn't really matter that Victor doesn't have another Malamar out, because he's got his final 2 attackers here on the board already and powered up. And we see that his deck is just purely consistency cards. It's just going to be a matter of whether or not Jesse has the cards to heal either of these 2 Gardevoir and Sylveon tag teams that he has remaining. He finds 1 mixed herb there, and he's got a Bill's Analysis. Looks like he's going to Viridian that Bill's Analysis away. Looking for an energy with Viridion Forest. So he'll grab a Fairy Energy there out of his deck. And he needs desperately to find another mixed herb. Thank you so much, Agent Silver, for that Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much for the support. Looks like Jesse has a Lieutenant Surge that he finds off the Pokegear 3.0. But the Lieutenant Surge will just allow him to play more supporters. we saw he discarded that Bill's Analysis out of his hand. I hope that that doesn't hold him back in any way. It looks like he's going to use Reset Stamp and then Bill's Analysis. Looking at the top 7 cards, he gets to pick 2 trainer cards he finds there. He finds the other Mixed Herb, but does healing 90 damage from the active while also hitting into a spell tag. I don't think it actually stops this incoming knockout from Victor. The active has 190 on it. If he were to heal 90 with Mixed Herbs, it would have 100 on it. The 40 damage plus the 130 from the Giratina would get there. He does have Custom Catcher, though, so I think he does have double Custom Catcher. And if he can double Custom Catcher around a spell tag one more turn, then he could potentially keep enough damage off the board to win him the game. I think that's what we're about to see. Victor not able to get this spell tag damage to stick with these Custom Catchers playing around his spell tags. Jesse's going to heal 90, leaving his Gardevoir Sylveon at 100 remaining. If he has the double Custom Catcher play, he does not. It's a single Custom Catcher. He needs a Great Potion, and he does not find it off of the Custom Catcher draw, meaning that if he hits in to the Giratina here in the active, he's going to lose the game. He finds a Green's Exploration, though, and since he played Lieutenant Surge, he can still play one more supporter. It's his final supporter. If he can find a Great Potion out of his deck. No, it looks like he's just hitting. I think... I was going to say, did Jesse play 3 supporters this turn? Or no, he didn't play the Lieutenant Surge. He did not play the Lieutenant Surge. I hope Victor has a plan here. Putting the bench Gardevoir Sylveon. The Mew should be able to finish off the game. Yes, he's going to do it with Psi Power. Knocking out the benched Gardevoir and Sylveon, and that's it. Victor takes the win using Mew's Psi Power to knock out the benched Gardevoir and Sylveon. And that's it. And that's right. I was a little bit lost there. Jesse is actually even on prizes with Victor. He did not have the option to use Lieutenant Surge. I remember seeing the Lieutenant Surge. He could not play it because they were even on prizes. And Victor ends up taking the win in an exciting first round. Incredible match there. Very close. Victor taking the win with the non-GX Giratina Malamar deck. I can't believe it. Very close. Down to the wire. Able to use Mew's Psi Power attack to finish off the Gardevoir and Sylveon there on Jesse Parker's bench. Jesse able to put together quite a bit of healing throughout the course of the game, but between Shrine of Punishment, Distortion Door, and Giratina's Shadow Impact attack, he was able to load up enough damage to take just 2 knockouts. That's all it takes for the Giratina Malamar deck to end up winning the game. We're going to see if we can get Victor back here for an interview to talk about his Malamar deck and what he thinks of his chances of winning this tournament. All right, I got Victor here, hot off his round 1 win at the Unified Minds League tournament. How you feeling, Victor?
Pretty good.
Sweet. How'd you, is this your first time, I guess, playing with a Unified Minds deck or playing in Unified Minds format? Have you been testing a little bit?
I've been testing a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you really like the non-GX Giratina Malamar?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your deck and how you arose to the conclusion to play that today.
It has favorable trades. Being able to manipulate the damage with spell tags and a Distortion Door can really set up good knockouts. The way I have this build right now has counters to the main 3 decks, so Pikarom, Charizard, and Blacephalon. with the Mimikyu, the Mew, and the Dawn Wings.
Yeah, I saw the Dawn Wings. Tell us a little bit about the inclusion of the Dawn Wings in a primarily non-GX deck, right?
So the Dawn Wings allows you to put pressure on a Blacephalon player by knocking them out with a flat 180 and then forcing them to gust around it, or just playing their Beast Rings out but not getting any value out of it until the next turn.
Right.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I mean, dealing 180 damage, and then also that Moon's Eclipse GX is very powerful in a format without Guzma.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not playing any custom catchers in this list, right?
Nope.
So you're just relying on that snipe damage to add up.
Yep.
Were you nervous at all playing against the Gardevoir and Sylveon deck that he would heal too much for you to snipe?
At one point I thought I wasn't going to have enough damage output or enough spell tags to get me there. So what I was trying to do was I was trying to set up the bench because I had in my head that eventually I was going to take a knockout with the Mew.
Sure.
If I can get the damage up high enough. Or I was going to do 150 with the Mimikyu by using Copycat, because Mimikyu's in here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is another nice option that you have to deal like some higher damage. We saw Jesse have to use his GX attack to knock out the Dawn Wing, so it was actually pretty good because he wasn't able to ever wipe your hand away with the bottom half of that GX attack, which would have been pretty crazy.
And being able to pivot with the Jirachi is solid.
For sure. Oh, Jirachi was phenomenal. We saw that dig you right out of a I would call it a dead draw. You were kind of dead drawing, but you did attack turn too.
I did. Yeah. I did.
Dawn Wing's pretty good.
Yeah, he's powerful.
For sure.
Strong for sure.
And then have you thought about maybe Espeon and Deoxys tag team, or is it too much to have a tag team in your deck?
I was playing with the Deoxys in here without the Dawn Wings, and I wasn't really getting the value out of it. Like, he felt more like a liability.
Yeah.
And playing the Jirachis, if you have one or two of them on the board, your primary attack doesn't do maximum damage either.
Right.
So I just didn't see the value of it.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, congrats on your win. Good luck in round 2, Victor.
Thanks.
Yep. Let's get it underway. Round 2 of the Full Grip Games League Tournament. We've got Brady Botner on the left playing what appears to be an Ultra Necrozma deck, and Andrew Barlow playing the popular Blacephalon GX, which gets even stronger heading into the new post-rotation format. Blacephalon's Mind Blown attack trades extremely well the popular Tag Team Pokemon GX. What's fun about this match that we've got ahead of us is that both of these decks have Ultra Beast Pokemon GX, only worth 2 prizes, that are capable of taking huge knockouts. Both decks play very similarly in that they have Stage 1 Pokemon on their benches that they use to charge energy out of the discard pile. They also both have Ultra Beasts that can rely on Beast Ring in order to pump some extra energy into play out of the deck. Where the decks differ, Brady is going to have that Giratina from Lost Thunder on his side of the field that he can use to act as a non-GX attacker, dealing 130 damage, 2-hit KOing these Blacephalons. Brady can actually play as a non-GX deck if he wants to, since the Giratina from Lost Thunder is going to bring itself back again and again from the discard pile with his Distortion Door ability. And we see Brady getting a very explosive turn 1 here with the big turn 1 Lily. And then he's also got a handful of Acro Bikes to churn through the deck just a little bit more. I feel like Acro Bike is a very popular card in this upcoming format with a little bit of a weaker draw engine because decks do not have Marshadow, Let Loose Marshadow at their disposals. Acro Bike allows you to really chew through your deck. The downside to Acro Bike in this format, though, is that there's much less resource recovery than we had seen in past formats, especially without Rescue Stretcher. It's really difficult to bring back resources that you end up getting rid of with the Acro Bikes. But in a deck like Malamar, it's kind of a set up at all costs deck. You really need to make sure that you see as many cards as possible to get those Malamars into play quickly and efficiently. We see Andrew Barlow start off with a Cherish Ball. He's going to search his deck for a Blacephalon GX. Nice full art version of the card there and put it onto his bench. that has a Pokegear 3.0. Look at the top 7 cards of his deck, see if he can find any supporter cards there to put into his hand. And it looks like he's got a Greens Exploration. So this is not the typical Blacephalon GX Naganadel deck that players might be used to. This is actually a Greens Exploration version of Blacephalon, and it uses the Greens engine in order to find cards like Welder and Beast Ring to flood the field with energy without actually using the Naganadels. So Barlow is going to be using this green strategy here, and no ability Pokemon, because in a deck that relies on Greens Exploration, you don't typically play ability Pokemon. Some of these Greens decks, though, I have seen them play maybe a 1/1 Persian GX, just so that they can set up Persian GX to use the ability to search out cards when one of the GXs gets knocked out and kind of forfeit their Greens Exploration after a certain point. So Barlow does have 2 fire energies there. He may actually end up playing a Reshiram and Charizard in this list. It sounds like, from what I'm hearing in the chat, that he does feature a Reshiram and Charizard here in the deck, so we're not completely off base with her original assumption that it is Reshizard. But it looks like Barlow is actually going to opt for a Bursting Burn here on the Giratina. I'm not sure how much I like that, considering that the Giratina needs to be switched to the bench anyway in order to attack. It's not going to attack without visiting the bench. When it does visit the bench, it's going to get healed of the Confusion and Burn. So the Bursting Burn, I'm not exactly sure how much value he's getting out of that. Sure enough, yeah, Brady's just got a switch in his hand, so he's going to switch, heal that completely. Andrew Barlow could have used his Burst GX attack this turn to take a discard a prize card, which I think would have been much stronger than trying to use Bursting Burn on this non-GX Giratina. Barlow might be saving his GX attack for something down the line. Maybe he has another play that he's been eyeing up, but it looks to me like Brady is going to get a turn 2 swing with Shadow Impact, so long as he can get a Psychic Energy into the discard pile, which I think he may already have. If not, if he finds a Psychic Energy off of this Cynthia draw, he can use Viridian Forest to discard it. And that's what we see him do here. He's going to discard that. He's got a Dedenne GX in his hand, but at this point, I think that Brady probably just wants to play the non-GX game with Barlow and just throw as many Giratinas into play as he can until eventually he can transition to a GX heavy strategy. Maybe once he's not afraid of Barlow having multiple Beast Rings and getting a huge a huge Blacephalon powered up. But we actually do see Brady go for the Dede change, which I think is fine at this point. He's only got 2 Malamars in play, and he would love to have a third. A third Malamar would be huge. Brady's going for an Acro Bike here. Going to look at the top 2 cards of his deck, discard another Psychic Energy, and he would love to find a Pokemon that can act as a free retreater. We see him use that Psychic Recharge to put an energy on his Malamar and then deal 130 damage with Giratina's Shadow Impact. I like Brady placing the Shadow Impact damage on his bench Malamar instead of the active Giratina. If he were to place that onto his Giratina, then it would allow Barlow to use Mind Blown for 1 less energy there, which he doesn't want to do. He wants to make Barlow use as many energy as he possibly can to take the knockout. We see Andrew kind of mulling over where to place his fire energy. It looks like he's placing it on the bench and is going to use Green's Exploration again, hopefully to find some cards that are going to allow him to power up his Blacephalon next turn. It just seems like such an awkward draw here. He's got nobody who trades well with these non-GX Giratinas. Absolutely nobody in this deck. He's got to kind of proceed forward with these Blacephalons. I don't think he's got any heal cards in here for the Blacephalon GXs. And I'd have to say that Brady definitely feels favored here so far, just from the early game setup. Looks like Barlow is eyeing up another Green's Exploration. Very awkward, since he knows that he's probably not going to be weldering anytime soon. But I imagine that next turn he's probably just going to... Oh, I saw Barlow, gesture to the Pokegear and then start to search his deck, and I was like, that's not how that card works. He's just using Viridian Forest. But it looks like Barlow is kind of saying, okay, I'm not going to be weldering anytime soon. This Blacephalon is probably going down, and then I'm going to use the Green's Exploration in my hand to find a Beast Ring for the following turn. But without any real valid non-GX options in this deck, he is just kind of proceeding against these non-GXs unfavorably, and Brady is not going to fall victim to the whole thing where the non-GXs can't one-hit KO the GXs, because he just does have the Ultra Necrozma in his deck. When he wants to, he can just drop the Ultra Necrozma out of nowhere and take a big knockout on a Blacephalon GX for just 3 energy, 2 psychics, and a metal. But there he is. The Reshiram and Charizard making its way onto Barlow's bench, and he's actually still going for the Bursting Burn. I really don't see it here why Bursting Burn is the option of choice. I think that Burst GX would have been pretty good here just to get things flowing. That being said, if Brady does not have a switch in his hand, this is going to put him in a pretty awkward situation. He actually just goes for it and hits it. You love to see that. Oh my gosh. The Giratina getting in there with Shadow Impact. What a savage. Brady Botner just going for the 50-50 shot, flipping through confusion and taking the knockout with his Giratina from Lost Thunder. What an epic play. Awesome stuff there from Brady. Just got to shoot your shot sometimes. And Barlow's got to be kind of sick about that. He's going to use Green's Exploration to find 2 more trainer cards out of his deck. He's going for Beast Ring here. We see him flip that card right to the front of the deck. He's got Beast Ring and Nest Ball. Nest Ball's going to get another Pokemon out of the deck. Hopefully he's got... it looks like the Nest Ball is supposed to be a Cherish Ball. Okay, I was going to say Nest Ball is not legal in this format. But Barlow has got some proxies left over. It looks like he's playing... The Nest Ball is actually supposed to be a Cherish Ball. And then he's going to grab himself a Blacephalon GX. Use the Beast Ring onto his benched Blacephalon. And then he's got another Beast Ring that he's going to go and maybe accelerate to the active so he can finally take a knockout. So he's got 4 more energy coming into play this turn with the Beast Rings. He's got a manual attachment from turn from hand that he can still play. And he's got plenty of energy in hand. I think he's got a Welder that he can utilize maybe next turn as well to power up another Pokemon. Maybe the Reshiram and Charizard on his bench could be a nice option, just having a little bit more hit points. Maybe could give Andrew Barlow a bit more sustainability. But round 2, I mean, another Malamar deck just showing off its strength against these bigger GX decks, really relying on the Giratina from Lost Thunder to pave the way forward. Brady's going to promote his Malamar with the Psychic Energy on it. The Escape Board going to give his Malamar the ability to retreat, which is good. He's got a Mysterious Treasure in his hand. Brady's going to discard a Psychic Energy and get himself another Inkay. I like to see that. Ideally, he'd like to have as many of those in play as possible so that he can continue to power up these Giratinas. A lot of his Pokemon just require 3 energy in order to attack. Having 3 Malamar in play takes a little bit of pressure off of his attachment from hand, making it so that he doesn't necessarily need to do that every turn, but he's actually just got an Ultra Necrozma in his hand. This is awesome. He's got the Metal Energy as well. So with a double Psychic Recharge, this Ultra Necrozma is just diving right into the action. He's going to take a knockout, a swift one-hit KO on this Blacephalon with that Photon Geyser attack, dealing a perfect 180 damage. And Brady going down to 2 prizes remaining means that the pressure is now on Andrew Barlow, who's got 5 prizes left. With 1 energy on his Reshiram and Charizard, he can use Welder and Attach to take this knockout. It could be difficult for Brady to get enough energy onto a backup Ultra Necrozma to take a one-hit KO. That's my major concern here. That if Barlow can just go double knockouts, I mean, he's got 5 prizes remaining, though, because he didn't use his Burst GX attack. So even if he knocks out the Ultra Necrozma this turn and the Dedenne on Brady's bench next turn, he's still 1 prize away from winning the game, putting himself in a very challenging situation. The Reshiram Charizard is going to get an extra energy from hand, though, and will take a knockout. We're going to see if Brady's deck has the juice to be able to respond here momentarily. Brady does have a lot of cards in his hand. We know he does play B-String. I've seen B-Strings being flashed around in Brady's deck. He's got the beautiful full art secret rare B-Strings. Kind of hard to miss when he plays those. I think one of Brady's first favorite decks was Blacephalon, so he utilized those B-Strings in that deck. Now he's using them in an Ultra Necrozma deck. After doing some testing with Brady, I do know that Brady is a fan of Blacephalon GX in the Unified Minds format, and it's still very strong. Barlow's going to move down to 3 prizes remaining with his Reshiram Charizard in the active position. Brady's going to promote a Malamar with an Escape Board. Top decks Jirachi, wishes he kind of could have had that maybe a turn ago. If Brady's got a switch, he could play a switch into that Jirachi. But it looks like he's got Cynthia and Lily in his hands. Kind of some awkward draw options. He does have Viridian, I believe, as well, which he can use to counter that Stadium. He's going to discard the Jirachi, actually, to get an energy out of the deck. It's tough because he knows if he attaches to the Malamar that he promoted, then he will not be able to attach manually to an Ultra Necrozma to satisfy that metal requirement. And after glancing through the deck, it's pretty clear he doesn't actually have a metal energy left in the deck. The only energy that he has that can satisfy the metal requirement on an Ultra Necrozma is the Beast Energy. So in order to attack with an Ultra Necrozma this turn, he's got a metal energy in his hand. So he actually could Cynthia that back in and potentially use Beast Ring to get the metal energy on there. But he does have a lot. Looks like 3 Malamars in play, but he's got to figure out how to get a formidable attacker into the active position. I believe I see a Dawnwings there in his hand. Dawnwings isn't who he wants, though. Desperately wants an Ultra Necrozma. And all Brady has to do is take 2 more prizes. I hope that if Brady doesn't have the stuff to take a knockout this turn, that he just uses his Malamars to charge up maybe an Ultra Necrozma or something like that. And I feel like it's kind of dangerous to just hit into this Reshiram Charizard since Barlow is playing the Green's Engine. You never know if he's got healing cards in the deck. Things like that. He does draw into a Pokemon Communication, the Ultra Necrozma. He's got a lot of stuff. The Beast Energy, but I don't think he has a switch, which could come back to bite him here. I really wish that this escape board was on the Dedenne and not a Malamar. It can be really hard to piece the cards together that you need for free retreat when you are relying on Malamar and an energy to do so. We might see Brady just go in with a Giratina this turn, but that also feels suboptimal. Brady can just bring the Giratina out of the discard pile with Distortion Door, and I think that's what we're going to see. Brady does have Ultra Necrozma and Beast Energy in hand, but since he can't retreat that Malamar in the active position without attaching to it, he's going to need to attack with somebody he can just triple Psychic Recharge to. Now, what's tough is that Brady doesn't actually put himself in a better situation as far as free retreat goes by attacking with this Giratina. All he does is kind of force Barlow to promote somebody else or heal his Reshiram Charizard. That's kind of the situation. Brady's got to attach from hand, triple Psychic Recharge to the Giratina, retreat, and he's got an attack here. With that Giratina, we'll see if this is going to be enough to win him the game. He's got the Beast Energy, he's got the Ultra Necrozma, but with no free retreaters and no switch cards in that hand, things could get a little dicey here for Brady. We'll see what Barlow does in response. He's going to check out Brady's discard pile and make sure that there's nothing he's missing here. Going to trade away a Persian GX with the Virizion Forest. And it's interesting to see these Greens Exploration decks utilizing Persian GX can be useful, especially once you've used a few of your Greens Explorations just to act as kind of a bonus Greens Exploration on turns where your Pokemon GX get knocked out. Maybe you stack your hand with greens the first couple of turns, and then as you kind of run out of greens, you can set up the Persian GX and use Catwalk to find 2 cards out of the deck. Barlow's going to counter the Virizion Forest, and he's got a pretty sizable hand. But he knows he can't leave this Reshiram and Charizard in the active position. He kind of has to attack with this Blacephalon, even if he uses Custom Catcher to just bring up the Dedenne and knock it out. All Brady has to do is drop the Ultra Necrozma out of his hand and one-hit KO whatever Barlow puts into the active position. He's kind of got Win suited up. And just imagine Barlow would kind of have game with double Custom Catcher if he just used his Burst GX attack earlier in the game. Both players still have their GX attacks at their disposal. And Brady promoting the Malamar here. He should have... No, I don't think he has game still because he can't attach to the Malamar and attach that Beast Energy to his Ultra Necrozma. He's got Dawn Wings, which almost gets him there, but oh, with the Beast Energy, the Dawn Wings is able to do enough damage for game invasion, and he's got the attack with his Dawn Wings. I always forget that Beast Energy works with the Dawn Wings, and that's it. Brady Botner using the Dawn Wings and emerging victorious in round 2 the Full Grip Games League Tournament. A wild match for sure. That was a close one. An interesting take on Virizion Gx that we haven't seen too often so far. So really neat to see that new creative deck building strategy come from Andrew Barlow there. I think I'd seen that Peter Kitsa had been showing off a Greens Exploration Virizion list. That might have been where Andrew kind of drew his inspiration from on Twitter. So very cool to see that strategy played out there at our tabletop tournament. Brady emerging victorious, though. Battle of the Ultra Beasts with his Ultra Necrozma deck using both Dawnwings, Ultra Necrozma, and Giratina to pump out consistent damage. Things got a little bit dicey there with the lack of free retreat options from Brady, who was never able to get the Jirachi escape board strategy online, but still emerging victorious nonetheless. We're going to get Brady back here for an interview shortly, so hang tight. Got Brady Botner here, hot off his round 2 win. How you doing, Brady?
Good. How about you?
Good, man. Living the dream. So, Ultra Necrozma Malamar, what inspired you to bring that to the league tournament today?
It's a deck that I had all the cards for and was able to build very easily.
Sick. All right. So, are you actually running any cards from Unified Minds in this deck right now?
No.
It's a post-rotation list. You just had to axe a lot of things out of it.
Yep.
Right, in order to make it work. Now, what do you think about Ultra Necrozma Malamar? Do you think you like it more or less than the Giratina Garchomp version of the deck that we've seen?
I haven't played the Giratina Garchomp one a whole lot, but I think that one might be a little better. But Sky Scorching Light's so good.
Still really good against a lot of the non-GX threats in the format. You can just Sky Scorching Light with Giratina. Pings is going to win you the game. So
Yeah.
Definitely a valid strategy there. Were you worried at all about this non-Naganadel Blacephalon deck? What did you think of this match going into it?
I wasn't really sure because I hadn't seen that deck at all, but
Right.
I don't know. Malamar with Dawnwings has always seemed pretty good against Blacephalon.
Right, especially being able to use the the Moon's Eclipse GX,
Yeah,
right? Moon's Eclipse GX, perfect 180 damage, force them to have double custom catcher, which is not exactly the easiest thing to find in this format. So definitely strong. And are you going to be playing in the DC Open this year?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any ideas as to some different strategies or decks that you kind of like or that you've been testing heading into the DC Open?
I really like Blacephalon. That just seems like the best deck to me. But I don't know if I want to play that because everyone knows it's very good. So.
What, you worried about some Tapu Finis out here or something?
Right.
What, you worried about Caldeo GX out here?
No, I'm not worried about it.
I'm worried about Caldeo
Are you?
GX, bro. I think Caldeo GX is the secret deck. People probably build that up. Oh yeah. We about to play some Caldeo GX on stream tomorrow. Let's see and just see how that goes for sure. But I don't know. I'm worried about the water decks. I don't know. I haven't heard a lot about the water decks lately.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But Blacephalon GX seems really good. Why didn't you bring that today? It's pretty much the same deck.
Oh yeah, that's true. I don't know. Spice it up a little.
Well, I gotta respect that. But anyways, congrats. Hopefully we get to get some more testing in for Worlds soon.
Yeah.
And good luck in round 3.
Thank you.
Yep. Players are getting ready for round 3, the Full Grip Games League Tournament, featuring new cards from Unified Minds. We've got Victor Alicia on the left versus Zach Pra on the right. It looks like Zach does have a fire deck, I believe, with him. That is probably a Blacephalon GX deck, if I had to guess. Zach is a big fan of Blacephalon. Victor is going to be playing that Giratina Malamar deck that we saw in round 1 on the left. Thank you so much, T. Wood, for those bits. Appreciate the love. Making your way to the top of the bit leaderboard this week. Awesome stuff. So, we're going to see if maybe Zach's Blacephalon deck is going to be able to outpace this Giratina deck. We saw Brady and Barlow duke it out last match, and this is more of the same, but I would have to guess that Blacephalon or that Zach's Blacephalon deck is a little bit different. I think he's playing Blacephalon with Naganadel, a more traditional list. We see the Mew from Unbroken Bonds in his hand that he's immediately discarding, knows he's not going to be needing that. So a little bit more of a straightforward, traditional Blacephalon deck here from Zach. He's got a turn 1 welder to load 2 energies onto that active Blacephalon there. Great stuff here from Zach. He's really getting out the gate strong. Victor starting with a single Inkay. Could go anywhere from here for Victor. And Zach does have a Cynthia in his hand for next turn, so he does have some draw support at the ready. Victor taking a look at his opening hand, trying to figure out how to proceed forward here. He's got a Pokemon Communication that he'll play and search his deck for presumably another Inkay or a Jirachi. We might see, depending on whether or not he has a switch card. Going for the early Jirachi is usually good, but that being said, the early Jirachi can also be tough, because if you search for the Jirachi and then it gets knocked out by Blacephalon, which it does get knocked out by Mind Blown with just 1 energy, then your consistency can kind of get wiped right out from under you. Sometimes it's better to just drop the Jirachi later in the game when you can switch into it and kind of just get it into your game flow there, kind of low key, without your opponent being able to just knock it out. Victor has a Cynthia. He's going to be able to shuffle his hand into his deck and draw 6 new cards, looking for more opportunities to get Inkay into play. Finds a Shrine of Punishment, which will start to wear away at Zach's Blacephalon. And I don't think he has another way to find an Inkay. So this could just be it. Double Inkay start. He has a Dawn Wings, which he could throw into the active position, but he's actually going to use Day-Day Change. I didn't know Victor actually ran a Dedenne GX in his deck. So that's a great explosive draw for him here. He's got Acro Bike to churn through his deck a little bit more. I believe I see a Mysterious Treasure and a Jirachi in this hand. So he's getting the start that he needs for sure. With the Jirachi that we see there, he could retreat this Inkay into Jirachi. We could see him go for the 50% chance at a Hypnosis sticking as well. Blacephalon decks typically do not play any kind of switch out, so they are susceptible to status conditions. But I do think we're going to see this Stellar Wish come down if I had to guess. I think that Victor's going to retreat and get some mileage out of that Jirachi, looking for more consistency cards off of the top of his deck here with Stellar Wish. And I think it's just a Mysterious Treasure and a bunch of non-trainer cards. He's going to grab the Mysterious Treasure, put that into his hand, shuffle up his deck. So an all-around really stable board position from Victor. And Zach has to be concerned with the Dawn Wings looming on Victor's bench. It's really tough for Zach to proceed forward. If Zach goes for the attack with his Blacephalon GX, even if he just uses Burst GX, or if he takes a prize card, that Dawn Wings Necrozma GX is going to be able to come up and deal 180 damage with that Moon's Eclipse GX and make it wow. Zach actually just has double Custom Catcher. This is insane. And since he used Welder on turn 1, all he needs is an energy for his bench Poiple, and he can actually just blow this Dawn Wings completely out of the water. This is an explosive play from Zach. Victor was not expecting him to have that double Custom Catcher play this early in the game. That's really tough to piece together, but Zach just had the cards like that. Now all he needs is a single Fire Energy or a Naganadel and the ability to charge one up out of the discard pile. We see the Fire Energy in his hand though, and Naganadel. So an easy path forward. He's got no Fire Energy in the discard pile, though. So he's going to have to manually attach it. And he's got a mysterious treasure as well he can use to search out a second Poiple. Get that down and into play. Discarding another Blacephalon GX. The tough part about this play is that Zach is going to need to Lost Zone all of his energy in order to take this knockout to deal 200 damage with Mind Blown, but he'll gladly do it, leaving himself with no energy in play, taking 2 prize cards. It's really a great move here for Zach, eliminating that threat on turn 2. Victor only had 1 turn to play this game so far and has already just had one of his most valuable Pokemon in this matchup taken out. It looks like the players actually have kind of forgotten about Shrine of Punishment. Zach might have been able to take that knockout for less. It looks like, because the Dawnwings has 170 hit points if they had remembered the Shrine damage. Actually, that's a big deal there. It looks like they're putting the Shrine damage on now, but both players seem to have forgotten the Shrine of Punishment damage ticks between turns. And since that Dawnwings would have had 160 health left, Zach could have used the Mind Blown for just 150 and taken the knockout there. Has 180. My bad, guys. Dawnwings apparently has 180. Yes, it does. All right, then. Then, yeah, he would have missed that knockout regardless. It would have been 10 short. So, play on. Victor looking through his deck here. He's got 2 Malamars set up and finds a Lily off of Stellar Wish. He's going to be able to use that Lily to draw some more cards this turn as he shuffles up. I think that he's probably looking for a Giratina, and a Spell Tag would be his best way to proceed forward here. Needs to kind of slow this game down. He does have the Giratina. He's going to Distortion Door, bring it out of the discard pile, and a Spell Tag to boot. And with a Lily for 6, he needs to find a switch card pretty desperately. And I don't know if I see one. Switch or an Escape Board would get that Jirachi out of the active position. But a big whiff there. And Victor has no other ways to move this thing. Giving Zach another turn here in this matchup is really devastating. He's got a Psychic Energy that he's putting onto his Jirachi, but still that Jirachi cannot retreat. It is asleep. I think we're probably going to see Victor Psychic Recharge a couple energy onto his benched Giratina as well, and then just have to pass with no way to move the Giratina. And this is a problem that I find myself running into all too often with Malamar decks. A lot of times they just miss that one retreating option during the turn, but looks like Zach actually has a pretty dead hand as well. Just a Beast Ring and maybe a Cherish Ball in the hand. No supporters at his disposal. He's going to use Virizion Forest to get an energy out of the deck, thin the deck up a little bit. But I think he's just going to have to pass. Maybe use Burst GX. I think we're going to see be a great turn for Burst GX actually on the Blacephalon. Go down to 3 prizes remaining. Zach's also going to choose to use Cherish Ball. He actually has Dedenne GX. He could put that into play and just draw 6 more cards. I think that sounds phenomenal. Didn't realize Zach had a Dedenne at his disposal there in the deck. Cherish Ball, netting him the Dedenne. He's going to be able to Day-Day change, discard his hand, draw 6 cards if he wants. And it looks like he's going to ditch that B string and draw 6 new cards. Wow. And that's 5 energy and a B string. Whoa. What a hand. He's got 1 fire energy in the discard pile. He can charge up onto one of his benched Naganadels and just burst GX here. Discarding a prize card. If it's a fire energy, he gets to accelerate it. And it is not. Finds a Cherish Ball there. And it's back to Victor. At this point, though, Victor is so far behind. I don't know if he can come back. That being said, Zach's hand is just bad enough that Victor might be able to slide in here and take this win. Victor's going to use Mysterious Treasure. Search his deck for a 3rd Malamar. And I believe we're probably not going to be seeing a Stellar Wish this turn, as Victor kind of desperately needs to retreat this Jirachi. I definitely agree with the countering of the Viridian there. Wants to make sure that Zach has as few options as possible to get energy into play next turn, as Victor kind of unlocks Zach's Beast Ring turn, going down to 4 prizes. Fortunately for Victor, and probably unbeknownst to Victor, is that Zach's hand is absolutely atrocious and a perfect hand for taking a big GX knockout and going into the Beast Ring turn. Zach definitely does not have the response cooked up right now. With the 1 Psychic Recharge, yeah, Victor, unless you got a switch, bro, do not Stellar Wish, my friend. Do not do that. You're going to get stuck. All right, he's got the retreat into the Giratina. I think just for safety, Victor should Psychic Recharge 1 onto the Dedenne, just to make sure that he's got a retreater for next turn, but it looks like he's maybe not going to do that, which just makes things kind of tough going forward. He does have a 3 Malamar, so he can more or less triple Psychic Recharge and always manually attach for a free retreat. He's just going to swing for 130. The Blacephalon taking 10 damage from Shrine as well. Going to put the Blacephalon at 160 damage. If Zach knocks out the Giratina, he is going to... Wow, what a top deck. Heat Factory coming in just in time. Zach's going to get a draw of 3 cards here. Finds Pokemon Communication. And a Blacephalon GX. Looks like he's going to Welder. Is that what's happening? Or is that a Beast Ring? Yeah, he has to draw for Welder. Is that a Welder he played? Yeah, he's got to draw 3 cards for Welder. There we go. All right, draws 3 cards for the Welder. And then it looks like he might get to attach as well. So Zach's deck really teeing off here, getting everything he needs with only 3 prizes remaining. I mean, he's doing so well that he can afford to retreat into a fresh Blacephalon, which is just wild. I don't think that I necessarily like that play, considering that Victor can take the knockout on that bench Blacephalon anyway with Spell Tag. It really makes no difference whether or not Zach is attacking with a fresh Blacephalon. I think he's just kind of, reducing his overall energy in play by making that retreat, but it doesn't really matter. He's just going to charge up the energy back into play with his Naganadels. But we do have a fresh Blacephalon in the active position now. And then I think that, yeah, we're going to see that Mind Blown attack for 150 damage. Victor going to place his damage counters here. We can expect 2 to go down on the Blacephalon to take a knockout, and then probably 2 onto the active Blacephalon. I think that that's fair. Victor actually, choosing just to put 1 on the bench Blacephalon, 3 on the active, so that he can Distortion Door for knockout. So that's actually, really smart there. Nice heads-up play from Victor. But now he's just a little bit short of knocking out this Blacephalon here in the active position. Only being able to deal 130 damage with his Giratina is really tough. 130 plus the 30 damage that's already on that Blacephalon, so 160. If he can find a shrine, then he will be able to fix those numbers on the Blacephalon GX. But without Shrine of Punishment, I think that Victor is just going to be too many turns behind here and not be able to keep pace. You see Victor using that Jirachi again for its 1 retreat cost. He's going to Judge, card that we don't see a ton of in this new Unified Minds format. A lot of players opting to use Reset Stamp, but Judge has the added benefit of also drawing you cards as well as disrupting your opponent's hand. Both players being reset to 4 cards here with the Judge, and then Victor actually already has an attack on board. I mean, he can just triple Psychic Recharge here using his Malamars and then use that Shadow Impact. He might be a little bit behind, though. I think, not sure if he can keep up. I think that Zach will probably be able to score a knockout here this next turn, putting him to just 1 prize remaining. And thank you so much, Gravesaw, for the Twitch Prime sub. 7 months. Thank you so much for supporting Tricky Jim, Gravesaw. Looks like Victor finds a spell tag off of his Giratina. Could be good. It's going to allow him to fix that damage. He's just 2 damage counters short on knocking out this Blacephalon. And then he's got the switch. And is going to use Shadow Impact for 130 damage. Putting Zach in a pretty precarious situation. If Zach takes the knockout, then he essentially knocks out his own Blacephalon. He's used his GX attack, so he is going to need to clean up the game with a Blacephalon. That is for sure. He's looking at Persian GX. The Persian GX actually will not get triggered because, Victor did not take a GX knockout. Now, I do actually want to read the Persian GX and kind of see. I don't know what he's searching. Victor did not take a knockout on the GX, so I don't know why he's got those 2 custom catchers. How is Zach doing that? Yo. How did Zach use Catterday? Oh, he used Catterday because Victor used, he knocked out the GX the previous turn. He used that's right, he used Catwalk. Okay, that's it. It's Catwalk. Okay. I got it, guys. He used Catwalk. I was like, I forgot. I was like, Victor was short of the knockout, but he actually technically did get knockout during the previous turn, but it was with the Giratina's Distortion Door ability, which I'd kind of forgotten about there for a second. So he's able to use the Catwalk ability on the Persian GX and was able to take game there. I had forgotten about that knockout that Victor took in the middle of his turn. Not something that you typically see in the Pokemon trading card game, but something that Victor's deck is very capable of doing, taking those mid-turn knockouts with the Giratina's Distortion, Door, Damage, and then, of course, Spell Tags kind of coming in the mix as well. Blacephalon looking very strong there in that game, the kind of traditional Blacephalon deck with the Catwalk ability on Persian GX, as well as Naganadel to charge up energy. Awesome stuff. We're going to get Zach Pra back here to talk a little bit about Blacephalon. I know it's one of his favorite decks and what his thoughts are on Blacephalon moving forward into the Unified Minds post-rotation format. Yo, we got Zach here, hot off his round 3 win at the Full Grip Games tournament. How you doing, Zach?
Doing really well.
Good stuff, man. See you rocking that Blacephalon. I didn't know, but I was like kind of had an inkling that you're probably going to be running Blacephalon.
Yeah, this deck's really good still.
Yes, it is. It's definitely a deck that I consider to be a top 3 deck in the new standard format. So how does it feel with this new engine, no Guzma? How does it feel?
Yeah, so it's way weirder because I'm just used to turn 1, load up the Wood Lily, Mars Shadow it away.
Right.
And now that that's gone, and now there's Welder, you have other tools.
Right.
It definitely feels, it's weirder. Like, it feels better and worse at the same time.
Right. The turns are a little bit grindier. You know, you really need to plan out your gust plays because you might only have 1 or 2 at the most. So you definitely need to be aware of that. But the Persian GX looking really strong.
Yeah, it's a super good card.
For sure.
Definitely the one thing that makes it just a really great deck still.
Absolutely. The Persian GX being able to search out those custom catchers as we saw
Right.
you use there. Now I see some players using the Ninetales from Team Up as the gust effect. Some players using the custom catchers. I started myself with Ninetales, moved to custom catchers. How do you feel about the...
Same thing.
Yeah.
It was just my setups were way too clunky.
Yeah.
Trying to get Ninetales and Meowth and trying to get 2 Naganadel.
That's
it was
3
just
stage
too
ones.
much. It was too much going on.
There's way too much going on. I agree with you there. And then with Persian GX, just being able to search out 2 custom catchers, it's really no problem. Blacephalon as a deck, I feel like, doesn't have to gust a whole lot.
It really does.
Just that one time per game is all you really need.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I really like being able to see that kind of come into play there in your last match. And so any kind of closing thoughts? Are you scared of Tapu Fini at all?
Not really, honestly.
You don't think anybody's going to play that?
Like, I feel like if you play it in, like, a tournament, you're only going to hit it once.
Yeah.
So, like, as long as you can try to avoid it in, like, a top cut of a tournament, you're probably fine.
Yep. I think so. I think, like, Tapu Fini is such a hard counter. I don't know how many Tapu Finis we're going to see at the World Championships. It's a card that I expect to crop up more at, like, League Cups. Like, 3 of my friends are here. I know they all play Blacephalon.
Exactly.
I'm tossing a Fini into my deck. Tossing a Fini into my deck and see how it goes. Well, anyways, congrats, Zach. It's a pleasure to have you here, and good luck in your final round.
For sure.
Round 4, the Full Grip Games Unified Minds Legal League Tournament. Starting now. We've got Zach Pra on the right versus Josh Vardos on the left. And check that out. Josh Vardos is playing Lost March and unfortunately starts with his lone Virizion Gx. Now, I'm not going to lie. I have no idea what this Virizion Gx does. It looks like it's got an attack double draw, which allows him to draw 2 cards, and Sensitive Blade. If you played a supporter card from your hand during this turn, it does 80 more damage. So has the option to maybe be able to deal 130 damage. You can also Breeze Away GX, put any number of Pokemon in play and all cards attached to them into your hand. I'm not exactly sure why you would Breeze Away GX. So maybe the Virizion is just there for double draw in order to set up. Either way, this seems like a terrible Pokemon for Josh to have started in this matchup, considering he's playing against Blacephalon, one of the most powerful fire decks in the format. Josh is going to be looking to maybe move this thing out of the active as quickly as possible, or could just use double draw to get himself a more explosive start. He's got a Cynthia to start things off. Going to be looking for a couple of not Natu, but Hoppips here. Maybe some net balls to get Hoppips out of the deck. That is one of the best things about Lost March in this current standard format, is that while most decks have lost their precious net ball, Lost March does get to keep Nest Ball, which searches out basic grass Pokemon or grass energy, a valuable asset for the deck. Josh has got 6 cards here. Going to see what he finds. I think he's got a Professor Elm's Lecture and, wow, 2 net balls. So that's really good. He's going to be able to grab 2 Hoppips with those. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of attackers Lost March is using to supplement the loss of double colorless energy. Without double colorless energy, Natu, who we used to see as a primary attacker in these Lost March decks, is not an option, meaning that the decks kind of have to get creative with who they use to put damage on the board, since there are only 4 jump bluffs allowed in the deck. You can use 4 jump bluffs to potentially attack. Throughout the game, you might only actually get to attack with 3 of them. And then I think I do see Spinarak in Josh's deck. I love the inclusion of Spinarak in here. I was talking to Brady about potentially using Spinarak. Is it Spinarark or Spinarak? It's Spinarak. All right. Using Spinarak in this deck as a potential option to throw more Pokemon into the Lost Zone. It can use that Spider Scram attack in order to pitch itself into the Lost Zone and paralyze and poison the defending Pokemon. This could be a game-winning strategy for Josh in this deck, considering that Blacephalon really does not have any sort of options to switch itself out of paralysis. And this Spinarak not only puts itself into the Lost Zone, but by paralyzing the Blacephalon will give Zach a hard time. It's going to slow Zach down and allow Josh some precious turns to get his board set up while Zach kind of continues to take residual damage from Spider Scram. We see Josh using the Pokemon communication there to get a Dedenne GX out of his deck. He's going to use that, discard his hand, and look for more Pokemon. He found another Netball, which he will gladly use to get another Hoppip out of the deck, put it onto his bench. And now he's got a pretty substantial setup for the next turn. I see at least 2 Skiplooms in the deck, and with a turn 1 double draw as well, he'll have even more cards in his hand, allowing him to really get in there on his second turn. So I do really like, as much of a bummer as it is starting the Virizion GX. Oh, wow. This is really cool. Okay, he's going to breeze away GX and just put the Virizion and the Dedenne back into his hand, sacrificing the Spinarak. I did not expect that. Breeze away GX, very cool there. Just allowing Josh to reuse his Dedenne GX that he has in play, and also getting the Virizion GX out of harm's way. It's going to be up to Josh now to put some pressure on up to Zach now to put some pressure onto Josh with his Blacephalon GX. I expect to see a Mind Blown this turn. You kind of have to use Mind Blown and knock out. Oh, wow. We must have seen a double custom catcher play. Yes. While I was switching cards, Zach custom catchered up the Hoppip. I actually think I would rather see Zach knock out the Spinarak in some ways. Like, yes, Josh is able to get 2 jump bluffs into play with the Hoppips, but that Spinarak can just paralyze and poison the Blacephalon, which is going to be really tough for Zach to deal with as well. So just giving him that kind of free Spinarak is a little bit unfortunate, but I do really like that strategy of using the Virizion GX with Amoga. If you have the Amoga has free retreat, so if you start Amoga, you can actually just go Netball for the Virizion Gx and use the Virizion Gx to pick up your Dedenne on the first turn of the game. I really like that. I think that's a very cool strategy there. I actually was considering playing a Thunder Mountain Prism Star in my own Lost March deck, so that you can use your own Tingly Return GX. So it's kind of the same concept, except the Breeze Away GX doesn't automatically paralyze, obviously, but you can still get your Dedenne GX out of harm's way with a Thunder Mountain Prism Star and use your own Tingly Return for just a grass energy, which could be really cool. So I think it's probably good enough to where you would actually consider playing a Thunder Mountain Prism Star in your own Lost March deck, just to give yourself that option to automatically paralyze, which I think is really cool. Looks like Josh is going to use Professor Elm's lecture here, opting for a Spinner Arc, a Hoppip, and an Emolga out of the deck. And then has the grass energy and is going to be able to Spidey Scram. He's going to use the Emolga's ability, though, to search out another Emolga out of the deck. I know he's got a hand with a couple of Lost blenders in them. So he can start to kind of pitch those Pokemon away. He's going to Lost Blender away Virizion and an Emolga. And then Trumbeak, check the top of the deck. No supporter card there. And we're going to see Spider Scram pitch the Spinner Arc into the Lost Zone. Paralyze and Poison. That Blacephalon's going to take 10 damage. And then I don't think that Zach has a good way out of this status condition, if I had to guess. Blacephalon decks are definitely not playing any kind of switching cards at this point in time. Zach has got a Welder onto a benched Blacephalon, and it's going to draw 3 cards. Got Heat Factory to draw 3 more cards. It's pretty cool. Ton of cards in hand, but no way out of this paralysis. So with another Spinner Arc on his bench, Josh is kind of saying, okay, I got all the time in the world to build up these one-hit knockouts. Now, I don't think that Josh actually plays any custom catchers. So it could get a little bit sketchy if Zach starts attacking with these Naganadels, which we see him kind of suiting up some energy on a Naganadel there on the bench. Getting ready to go with that one. I'm interested to see if Josh just decides to go for the KO here with the Jump Bluff. I think that it's the right time to do so. You could just save the Spinner Arc for later if you need to maybe slow the game down a little bit. Right now, though, Josh just needs to take some prizes, knock out this active Blacephalon. I think that's a great option for him. And he's going to take 2. Putting Zach on B-String, Josh is able to find a Pokemon communication off of the prizes, which he can use to throw the Skiploom back into his deck. We saw him hold off on using Dedenne GX to draw more cards this next turn because he wanted to make sure that he did not discard the Skiploom. This is one of the toughest parts about the Lost March deck, is that you really can't afford to discard any of your Pokemon because there just are not that many Pokemon and not that many recovery options either. So you got to make sure that you're very careful with them. But fortunately, the Pokemon communication does give you a little bit of flexibility to throw valuable Pokemon like Skiploom back into the deck before you use Day-Day Change. Josh's turn now. He's searching the deck with Emolga's Nuzzly Gathering ability. Allows him to search his deck during his turn for a Pokemon that has the Nuzzle attack. Usually use that to grab Emolgas. It looks like, oh, he actually is not Nuzzly Gathering. He's using Professor Elm's Lecture because he's eyeing up 3 Pokemon. So he's going to be able to get 3. And then if he wants to draw more cards, he does have the Virizion Gx in his hand to do that. He's going to grab an Emolga as well off of the Nuzzly Gathering, so netting himself 4 cards total. And then he will Pokemon Communication the Skiploom back into the deck to get himself a Kartana. There we got the Kartana from Unbroken Bonds making its way onto the field. Kind of obvious choice for the Lost March deck. If you have exactly 4 prize cards remaining, it does 120 more damage. Big Cut can take that knockout on the Naganadel, which is just very good numbers there for taking that knockout. I mean, actually the Naganadel is 138 points, so I retract all of that. Yep. Naganadel is 130, so Kartana not going to get him there. And Josh, unfortunately, drawing into a Jumpluff off of the Lost Blender. Really don't want... Is there something I'm missing? Is the net... Andrew, read your cards. All right, Big Cut does 10 plus 120, making it 130. All right. I was right the first time. Perfect numbers for a knockout. Okay. So Josh's Kartana actually getting them there perfectly for the 130 damage needed to knock out that Naganadel. And now Zach needs to forge a path forward. He's got a gigantic hand. And also can use Beast Rings to accelerate. So really can do all the damage in the world, but it doesn't really matter when you're getting taken out by a non-GX deck. Zach using Welder, going to attach 2 fires, draw 3 cards. So many Beast Rings in this hand. But it doesn't really need them. All he needs to do is figure out how not to lose. But we see him running out of non-GX attackers. And so long as Josh can utilize just 2 more Jumpluffs, these Lost Marchers are dealing 220 damage at this point. The game has worn on long enough that his damage is just through the roof. And we see Zach powering up the Poiple on his bench with a Beast Ring. He's got an Ultra Space as well. If he wants to search his deck for a Naganadel, he could find it. But it looks like Zach is going to use Mind Blown there. Put some fire energies into the Lost Zone. Josh excitedly using Pokemon Communication again to throw away a suboptimal Pokemon that he had in his hand back into the deck, putting the Jumpluff away so that he can Skiploom and find that Jumpluff with the Floral Path into the Sky ability. Thank you so much, Bailey Nerds, for that Twitch Prime sub. Appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting Tricky Jim. And thank you so much to everybody who's remembered their Twitch Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, that means you get a free subscription. Awesome stuff. Thank you guys so much. Josh counting up his deck here. He's got 2 Jumpluffs in play. I think so long as... And wow, actually going to Copycat. Zach has a gigantic hand. This Copycat is coming in clutch here. Going to draw him an absolute massive amount of cards out of his deck, and we'll see just how many. Josh at this point just needs to find a Grass Energy in order to take this knockout. If Josh can find back-to-back Grass Energies, which we see he's got 3 Grass Energy in hand, that's all he needs for game. He's going to Trumbeak, get another Pokemon out of his deck into the Lost Zone, finds a Dedenne there on Zach's side. He's got another Trumbeak. Why don't you just do it again? There you go. No problem. Just want to thin the deck as much as possible in case you get reset stamped. Probably for the best. Josh does have retreat and is going to Lost March for knockout on Zach's Blacephalon. Going down to just one prize remaining. Zach does not have a great option going forward. He would have to take the knockout and use reset stamp. Hopefully he's got a reset stamp in that deck. He can use Virizion Gx to catwalk. Instead, we're going to see the Dedenne GX discard like 12 cards with the Dede change. That's insane. I think Zach desperately wants a reset stamp here. He can use the Virizion GX's ability to find whatever he wants out of this deck, though. So I think he should definitely have used that Virizion GX's ability there to do so. He did have a GX get knocked out this last turn. He could probably just find Naganadel reset stamp. I mean, that would do it for me. Put Josh to a one-card hand and hope that he can't respond with a Grass Energy for game, but Zach's list might not even have a reset stamp in it. He's got Naganadel. He just needs to take the knockout, and Josh promotes Jump Bluff has got plenty. Oh, Josh, you are already doing enough damage, bro. And that's it. Grass Energy means game. And Josh Vardos emerging victorious at the Full Grip Games League Tournament with Lost March looking pretty good in this new standard format. Josh Vardos emerging victorious with his Lost March deck, relying on Spinnerack and that Spider Scram attack to pitch itself into the Lost Zone, also paralyzing and poisoning Zach's Blacephalons, giving Josh just enough time to set up his deck. We also saw a pretty crafty play with Virizion Gx there, using its GX attack to gust itself up, as well as the Dedenne GX. Definitely looking strong. We're going to get Josh back here for an interview to talk about his new take on Lost March and what he thinks about the deck moving forward. All right, here with Josh Vardos, hot off his round 4 win, 3-1 at the Full Grip Games League Tournament. How you doing, Josh?
Fantastic.
Yeah, deck looked great.
Spinnerack, OP.
Busted, bro.
If you don't
Totally
have,
busted.
if you don't have switches or a way to get out of there, it just lets me sit there and set up all day. I just
All
keep throwing
day.
stuff away
For
over
sure.
and over. And, I mean, I'm hitting 300s easy
I know.
by the end of every
Yeah,
game.
Spinnerack is awesome. That Spider Scram attack there, absolutely phenomenal. And Blacephalon notoriously, like, not really playing any switch cards.
None. He had
None.
no switches.
Yeah.
The custom catcher scared the living daylights out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I started the Virizion, and I needed to, like, Dedenne to get out of everything,
Right.
too. And luckily, I just got rid of them suckers. He was mad. He's like, you just took 4 prizes.
The
off
Breeze
the
Away,
board."
the Breeze Away GX. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really see that coming. So, how did you come to the conclusion to play a Virizion GX in your Lost March deck?
I don't have another attacker. And
Yeah,
he can hit 130, like, in a pinch. Like
sure.
As a last-ditch effort to, I don't know, knock out Giratina or something.
Something,
I don't know,
yeah.
Whatever's 130.
Yeah.
That's out there. But the GX is so good just to help me set up, let me play my Dedenne.
For sure.
I can PCOM into it at any time, pretty much.
Or you can netball for it too, right? Basic
No,
grass.
no.
You can't
What?
net.
For any, no, not for the, I'm saying for the Dedenne.
Oh yeah. But I mean, you can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
search the Virizion with
Yes.
like netball, right?
And I have so many free retreaters that he just can get in there and just get the Dedenne, him and himself. That's the point. Those
Right.
two, to get him out as quickly as possible. Stick to one prize.
I really like that. I mean, I had
That's not
I thought
bad.
about maybe playing like Thunder Mountain Prism Star in Lost March so that you can Tingly Return GX, right?
Nice.
Because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
just want to get the thing out of the.
Sure.
It's kind of like another Spider Scram, you know.
Sure,
Think
sure.
about that. So like you could do that, but then I saw you play the Virizion and scoop it up that way, and I was like,
I've done
there
it.
we go.
I've used it before when someone else has played it, but usually I'll just flip and paralyze with Emolga. Just keep
Right.
paralyzing.
You actually have. I've thought about because like you need some counter stadiums sometimes, and you know.
Power plant is like key. And
Right.
then Lysander Labs is key too, but I don't
Right.
have any room to do any of it.
No,
It's so
right,
stupid.
right. Yeah, so there's not really a lot of space in the Lost March deck because I didn't see you playing custom catchers either.
Nope, I wish I had.
Right.
What is that next one that comes out?
The tag
Great
catcher. You
catcher?
would play
Oh,
tag catcher. Yeah.
God, I could
That-
just pick any.
Oh,
knockout I
that'd
want.
be great.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
you'll definitely play tag catcher. But yeah, custom catcher kind of a tough card to fit into a lot of lists right now. And I think you can make the argument since you should theoretically be trading favorably with every deck, you don't necessarily need it, right?
One prizers are impossible because they don't really have attackers.
Right.
I have the 4 jump bluffs and a Virizion, and the Kartana is so key.
I know.
Like I have to
You
get
have
that
to
in
use
there.
it,
I have
right.
to use it. He's so important to be
Because
able to
if
have
you would-
another attacker, and if I don't get him that turn,
Right.
I'm screwed.
We
So,
saw that you were down on your final jump bluff for the final knockout of the game, and if you had to use one of those jump bluffs to knock out the
I didn't
Naganadel,
want to.
then you're short an attacker per game.
I was like,
Right.
I have to get this Kartana.
So we
and I
saw
did. So-
all the pieces really coming together there for the Lost March deck. What do you think about the future of Lost March heading into this new format?
Oh no, spell tags running wild.
Oh, the spell
They're
because
everywhere.
you said you went 3-1. Your one loss was the spell tag Malamar. Seems kind of rough, huh?
I did beat spell tag Mally, the Giratina,
Yeah.
Garchomp.
Oh. Because you were able to knock out tag teams. Yeah.
But 270 on that thing, and he had the 2 Mew,
Yeah.
and I only hit like 260 or something at one point,
Right.
and then he healed it off. And I was like, no.
And then you don't have Shrine in your list to kind of
Right.
get that extra little
Yeah,
oomph there.
I actually poked with Kartana for 10 to knock out. Like this is so key.
Oh my
I
gosh.
did get that win, but
That's crazy.
the poison was killing like a Malamar. I had a Malamar
Yeah.
out there with poison, so it skipped the spell tag because it wasn't
Oh, that's awesome.
it wasn't damaged by an attack. It was
Right,
just
right.
the poison. He was kind of upset about that. But, well, that was by the skin of my teeth because I prized 2 hop-ups that game.
Oh my
So
god.
I was just sitting there sweating, just sitting behind stuff, just
Yeah.
throwing stuff away, waiting and waiting and waiting.
It does seem like a deck that really hates to prize certain things.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
if because you got a 4-4-4 jump left line. Ideally, you want all 12 of those guys in the deck.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a lot to ask.
No, well, so I play a Dunsparce list too,
Uh-huh.
and you start Dunsparce like 9 times out of 10.
Right, because I mean, if you have a Moga in the deck too, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, of
Then
course.
you just retreat into
Just
it.
bang out the bench, and then
Yeah.
I've got 4 Poke
Yeah.
Gears and 4 Elms, and then it's just game on.
That's awesome.
Damage output is insane, so quick, but again, that
Yeah.
deck doesn't have any room for another attack.
Yeah,
There's no good.
yeah.
I need another attacker, and just need.
Maybe you do
print
Spirit
something.
Tomb or something, you know?
So I've
You
been
can
doing
put
that
some
too.
rainbows
I've
in
been
it,
trying
yeah.
that too because he fits in really easy.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just play some rainbows. But anyways, good stuff, Josh. Thanks
man.
for talking to us about the deck a little bit, and good luck in your future events. We'll be seeing you soon.
Thanks, buddy.
That's it for the Full Grip Games League tournament. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. The winner of the whole event was Zach Pra with his Blacephalon Naganadel deck. He did end up taking the win because even though we did see Zach and Josh kind of play that out, they ended up IDing actually, unbeknownst to me. So they did agree to intentional draw before that match, and Zach ended up winning on Resistance. So even though Josh did take the win there, they decided beforehand to call it a tie so that they both would be guaranteed some store credit for their prizing. So good stuff there. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Make sure to check out fullgripgames.com where you can order code cards from Unified Minds for PTCGO. We're going to be doing a huge marathon stream tomorrow. You can catch me on twitch.tv/TrickyJim right here. Catch me here tomorrow. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to tune in to twitch.tv/TrickyJim to check out the stream. I'm probably live right now. I mean, I could be. You might as well head over there and check it. But thank you guys so much. Make sure to check out fullgripgames.com for those codes. Place orders for the codes so that I can email them out to you. I'm going to do my last batch of emails tomorrow morning. So if you didn't get yours yet, fear not. I'm going to do a last batch of emails for the codes tomorrow morning. It's late, so I'm leaving now. But I will get you your codes tomorrow morning so that you can have them in time for the set drop at 1 p.m. Thank you guys. 1 p.m. my time, Eastern Standard time. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you for all the follows, the bits, the subs, all of that. Y'all rock. Have a great day. Big shout out to the mods as well for keeping everything in line. Thank you guys so much. Take it easy. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow morning. We've got some exciting stuff on the way. Deuces.